We are here today on a compliance hearing, and we are conducting this through Zoom or live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we can go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, present, ready to proceed. Katrina Sledge is the worker today who will give us an update.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Miss Neal, and sorry about my throat this morning. I've been in smoke for the last few days, so but I'm present and ready to proceed, Your Honor.
T.D. Hammonds for Derek Rubin, the father, ready, Judge.
Stacy Zabala for the kids.
Okay, then we'll get an update from Ms. Sledge. How are we doing on
okay,
everything?
so as far as the case, there has not been a lot of progress on the case. All referrals were made for the recommended order services within the order to participate, which included full psychologicals for both parents, parenting, alcohol and drug assessments, and then of course, individual counseling, individual family counseling, and then the domestic violence courses. All referrals were made, appointments were scheduled, but they were not kept for the most part. The only assessments that were completed by Derek was the OSAR, alcohol and drug assessment, but I was not able to get those results because he didn't sign the release for them to release the information to me. So I didn't get the results for that. And then both Jalea and Derek did complete the psychosocials with Recovery for individual counseling, which was recommended. Jalea did not want to do couples counseling because she didn't plan to stay in a relationship with Derek. And initially her plan was to move in about April, because that's when the lease was up and she was trying to keep from breaking the lease. However, she called me. She had some struggles throughout from the beginning to the end with transportation, getting the kids to school on time, which was affecting, the oldest Zoe academically. And she has no support here in the Amarillo area. Her family lives in Tyler, Texas. His family lives in a different area. She called me about February 20th. I went by the house. I had got some calls from the school and from the daycare. They were worried. Zoe hadn't been to school. Derek hadn't been to daycare. They were worried about their well-being. And so I went by the house. She was not there, but she did call me and told me that she needed to leave because she no longer felt like she was safe because of Derek's behaviors. She stayed in constant communication with me. She went to a hotel that day. She stayed there for 2 days. And then her mother, LaRonda Brooks, came and picked her up, and they moved to Tyler, Texas with her mom. Since she's been in Tyler, Texas, I made a transfer request, and they did go out and see her and the kiddos and maternal grandmother and grandfather. Everything checked out well. Zoe is enrolled in school. She's currently looking for daycare for Dallas. And then she will try to find employment herself. The worker went out and talked to her about continuing services there, because we have had the issue in the past with going back. We want to assure that she's going to continue to be protective of those children and for herself, not just the kids, but for herself too. And she made a good decision by getting out because she did not feel safe anymore. So that's a plus. That's a benefit, a bonus. She is being protective, but we need to assure that she's going to continue to be protective. So that's kind of where we're at in limbo, trying to figure out if we continue with the order or do we just transfer. How that works, I don't know. But she's on board with services there as far as domestic violence support group, anger management, irrational behavior training, and individual counseling. Those services, some of those services she was going to work on here within our order.
Okay. So obviously it's a little different than a legal case, but can this be transferred sort of in-house to the folks there in Tyler, where she'd have local worker, local assistance, local, everything?
Yes, I do believe we do it's just called a transfer, where we would transfer the case. And I don't know if Todd, I don't know. I guess we were just trying to figure out if we do it with the order, or do we just transfer the case for family based, for her to work services that route? But we can transfer it, and there's a worker it's already assigned to, just to transfer it, but wasn't for sure how it works with the order.
I've never transferred a participation case, but
I don't see that it would be an issue, Judge. I'll contact the worker and Tyler, or the attorney and Tyler, and then we'll see if we can't just get a motion to transfer it down there.
Okay. I assume it's similar. I mean, I probably sign an order to transfer it, and I don't know whether I need to talk to one of the judges there. So Todd, if you find out from the attorney there, if I need to have a conference with the judge, just let me know and I'll figure out who it is I need to talk to.
Okay, I'll do that.
It seems to me mom has the kids. That's where our focus needs to be, on supporting mom and the children. If we transfer at that point, honestly, Mr. Higgins, unless your guy just wants to work services, it's probably just dismiss him out.
And can I say too, he is, because I've been trying to call him, and I hadn't been able to get a hold of him, so I went by the house this morning, his apartment, and he's still living there. But he is trying to call me now because we were texting. He's asking me, how can he get on? Do you want me to? He's at work.
Well, I mean, we're going to be done with this here in just a few minutes. So just tell him you can report to him what's transpired, and Mr. Hammonds can certainly do that.
Perfect.
Yeah, Judge, I'll explain to him everything. I did want to ask Ms. Sledge a couple questions, Judge.
Yeah, sure.
Ms. Sledge, have you met with Derek in person, or is Annalise Kendall still considered the worker?
No, I've met with him in person. We completed a family assessment with him. They both have their own individual family plan. So yes, I did meet with him.
Okay, so he has your phone number. You just said he was trying to contact you?
Yes, he has my phone number. Yes, sir.
Okay, I will inform him that certainly the best thing for him to do is stay in close contact with you, that if it does get transferred to Tyler, you can give him some information on a worker to contact down there so he can possibly at least stay in contact. And if he completes services, maybe, make sure they get emailed the certificates and things like that. But I'll explain all that to him, Judge.
Okay.
Well, just so you know, Trina would remain the courtesy worker here for Dad. So she would still be seeing Dad.
Okay.
All right. And I appreciate that clarification, Ms. Counsel. I want to give him the opportunity, but TD, it's one of those deals. If he's not going to do it, then the main support needs to go where the children are.
I understand, Judge.
Okay. All right. Ms. Kincaid, anything you want to ask or need to add today?
Just briefly, has Miss Neal stayed in contact with you?
Yes, she has.
Okay, and in your experience, has she been cooperative with you?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and she has done the psychiatric assessment, right?
She has not done she did the psychosocial with recovery for individual counseling. So they were ordered to do the individual counseling, and they were ordered to do a full psychological. She had 3 scheduled visits for the psychological, and she didn't make them. I know 2 of them were because she was sick, but no, she didn't complete the full psychological evaluation.
Okay, and then part of the issue with her not making appointments is because her car broke down. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't have any other support in Amarillo. So if she can't get somewhere because her car's broken down, then she can't get somewhere.
Right.
Okay. And that's the reason that she moved to Tyler, is to be with her family that can support her and help her. Is that fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then the other thing is with the family counseling at this point, is that necessary if she's not going to be with Derek anymore?
If she truly is not going to be with him, I would say no. The individual, maybe. Yeah. I mean,
and it'd be tough to do if she's in Tyler and he's in Amarillo.
Yes, very tough to do. And for my, it's just, she says they're not going to be together. He always told me they were together. So, I wasn't for sure until she left.
Okay. So maybe we'll leave that to the psychologist to make recommendations if they feel it's necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Hammonds, anything else?
No, Judge.
Okay, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Ms. Sledge was great with communication with our office, kept us informed when the move to Tyler happened, gave us all the info on how well mom was doing. I have not seen the kids because of that move, but received all of that information from Ms. Sledge. So it sounds like a good move.
Okay. All right, well, everybody, you can just keep me informed of what we need to do. Mr. Albee, if I need to contact a CPC court there, let me know.
I will.
Okay, then for right now, I'm going to continue the order for services and
Real rewards by playing your favorite.
keep on track. And our next compliance hearing will be set for May 14th on a 9 o'clock docket. But if the case transfers, obviously that, you'll be subject to whatever court date the court down there sets. So we'll just kind of see what happens, but we'll make sure everybody knows where to be and when to be there. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Neal, best of luck to you. I hope things go well. All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Kincaid, are you expecting your client?
Your Honor, I've never had contact with her. This is another one of the ones I transferred, but I've never spoken with her.
Okay. All right. We've got Mr. Perez logged in now. We're here on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom and we are live streaming. Ms. Taylor's making our record. So we'll go ahead and let everybody make their announcements.
And now is Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. When she gets on, Tori Cook will be my permanency specialist, and we are present ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Grant, on behalf of the father, Daniel Perez, my client's present. We're ready.
Savannah Kincaid, and on behalf of Ms. Alvarez, I've had no contact with my client. I don't anticipate her being here this morning.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Mia.
Okay.
She says she's there, but I told her to log in off and back on again.
Yeah, I don't have her.
Okay.
Tell you what, while we're waiting on her, let's if everybody's okay, I'll go ahead and just kind of get Ms. Kincaid, and she probably didn't have much to add, or Ms. Grant, and we'll go ahead and take them up real quick. So Ms. Kincaid, no contact information or anything.
No, Your Honor, and it looks to me like from the previous attorney that nobody really has had contact with her, including the previous attorney. I think she's kind of out in the wind. So I have nothing to add this morning, Your Honor.
I think she completed her psychosocial, and actually had set up some counseling sessions, but I don't think she ever showed for any of that, and I kind of think that's about all that she got done. And then I think she's sort of been in the wind since then. Okay, Ms. Grant, and I'll give each of you the opportunity to ask the caseworker anything you need to once we get her logged in. But
Sorry, Judge. No, Mr. Perez is doing well. He hasn't reported any issues to my office. Everything is okay, but he did have, some questions today about possible placement moves or anything that might be planned there.
okay. Well, my understanding, of course, the department is that requesting an extension, and I think everybody has agreed to that.
Yes, ma'am.
I've certainly given that my blessing so we can continue to work with Mr. Perez. I know we had a little misstep, but we're hopefully back on track. So I just don't recall off the top of my head whether I've signed that extension yet or not. Mr. Trower, you all submitting that today?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be submitted. I don't think it has been submitted yet. We usually wait till the hearing till we submit, so we'll get that submitted.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll grant the extension in the case, and we'll set a new dismissal date. I find that there's extraordinary circumstances that would warrant the extension in the case, and we're still, goal is still reunification, and so we're
Yes, ma'am.
still on that path. So,
And I believe we have the final set for August 20th.
right. Our next review hearing is set for June 27th on a 9 o'clock docket. The final is the August 20th on a 9 o'clock docket. And, okay, and then, Ms. Zavala, anything to report today?
Your Honor, Mia's doing really well. I mean, they had a big scare when they had to evacuate. But she is doing really well. I've got some clarification questions for Ms. Cook when she logs in. I'm getting different reports about visits, and it doesn't seem to be outlined in the report, but it sounds like lots of missed visits, lots of really late visits, visits that were supposed to be 4 hours that were just 1 hour. So I just kind of want to get a clear picture of what that is. Because if we are talking about reunification, that's a really important thing we need to address. The other thing I believe I understand is that sometimes maybe a girlfriend comes to the visits, and I don't think that was on my radar screen, so I just want to pin down who that is and what her role is. So those are my questions for Ms. Cook when she gets here.
Okay, I still don't have her in my waiting room, so I don't know what's going on. Can we possibly, Ms. Collins, could we maybe just get her on the phone, on speakerphone with you?
Okay.
Okay, so I've gotten a little information today, but I think and the attorneys may have some questions for you, but have you had any contact with Ms. Alvarez?
No, I have not seen her since early November or heard from her, been able to find her.
Okay. And so we kind of need an update on Mr. Perez, and Ms. Zavala had some questions and concerns about visitation issues. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just let you start by kind of giving me your update, and then we'll get to these other issues.
So yes, we did move back to supervised visitation. The foster parents are having the visits in their home, and they are staying during those visits. There have been a couple visits where Daniel hasn't stayed the whole time. The girlfriend did come to one of the visits, but she stayed in the car the entire time. She wasn't in the home. And then there have been a couple missed visits due to illness, or I think there was a family emergency once.
Okay, anything that is a real concern to you about the visitation?
No, and I did talk with Daniel about needing to stay the entirety of the visits and making sure he makes those. And then we even talked about the option of getting him closer to Amarillo, doing him in Panhandle again, but he decided that he was still going to drive to Miami to have those visits.
Okay. So what about drug testing and all that? Where are we?
Yes. So I have sent him, we haven't done another hair follicle yet. The last hair follicle was 12/20 of last year. We have done a UA 130 of this year and 224 of this year. Both of those came back negative. I'm kind of waiting for today to see if we should go ahead and do another hair follicle, since it's been a couple months now.
So was there a positive in December?
Yes, the hair follicle in December was positive.
For what?
For cocaine and marijuana.
Okay, but UAs have been negative since then.
Yes.
Okay. All right, goal is still reunification.
Yes.
And I've already, while we were trying to get you logged in, I've already approved the extension in the case. All right. Anything else that Mr. Perez needs to be doing for us to move forward?
No, I did send him to do an OSAR assessment, and there were no recommendations that the OSAR assessor had. I feel like everything else has been, I mean, he's been very compliant with everything else and with communication and everything. So.
Okay. So let's just say we send him to do a hair follicle, and that's negative. what's the plan moving forward?
I would like to do some, again, unsupervised and then try some weekend overnights and then transition to a return home. Well, return home, I guess.
Okay. All right, so let me just ask Ms. Kincaid, do you have any questions that you want to ask Ms. Cook?
The only thing is, could you provide me with the last contact information from Ms. Alvarez, just sent to my office or my email whenever you get a chance, please?
Yes, I will.
I appreciate
And
that.
I also did an accurate search this week. I called all the other phone numbers on that search, and none belong to her, but I will send you the most recent that I have.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, and Ms. Grant?
Your Honor, we just wanted to be kind of clarified that the missed visits were due to illness, and then Mr. Perez had a family emergency, and the girlfriend was in the car because they were leaving town directly following that visit to go and attend to that emergency. And so he knows and normally would not bring girlfriend, but that was a one-time situation. We agreed that we would just like to say on the record what the court already obviously knows, which is a hair follicle done within 60 days could still be positive, but we hope to show any decreasing numbers or anything in that situation. And that hair follicle, hopefully, if positive but decreasing, would not be held against Mr. Perez as long as it's progressing forward.
Sure. No, that's what we really want to see, is that we can decline if it is still positive.
Judge, I have a couple of questions real quick, just to clarify on a few things.
Sure, and I'm trying to let Ms. Cook in. It looks like she came into the waiting room finally, but I was trying to let her in. Okay. But go ahead.
Ms. Cook, do we know, is the girlfriend a living girlfriend? Is she stay with Ms. Perez? Is that something we need to look into before we get to returning, or they live separately?
I believe at this point they're still living separately.
Okay. And I can ask Mr. Perez that too if he wants to answer that.
He's fine to answer. Go ahead, Mr. Perez. We can't hear you.
We live separately.
Okay.
Could y'all hear him? He said we live separately, in case Amy didn't catch it.
Okay.
I heard.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Well, let me just say, Mr. Perez, at some point, if she's going to remain in the picture, I think that you can expect St. Francis is going to want some information on her. They're going to want to run some background checks on her. And because if she's going to be around Mia, once Mia, the goal is obviously get Mia home, but that's coming. I'm just telling you. So hope she's okay with that.
Mr. Perez, if she's okay with that, Mr. Perez, can you just nod your head, yes or no? She is. So I'll indicate she is okay with that. He's telling me.
Okay, Ms. Grant, you might just kind of go over within the areas of the inquiry they're going to go into, and
absolutely.
If there's a problem, let's face it head on and see if we can deal with it. If there's no problem, then that's great.
Yes, Judge. I'll take care of that. Talk with him.
Okay. All right. And Ms. Zavala, did you have any questions?
I just want to, I'm not opposed to girlfriend necessarily being around if she's going to be in the picture, just as long as we've got information on her and that she's doing what she needs to. I wanted a little bit of clarification. I got a report of a visit being an hour late, staying for an hour, and then leaving to celebrate Mr. Perez's birthday in San Antonio. So I'm just trying to figure out, is that the right picture or do I have the wrong information? And I guess that question would be for Mr. Perez.
Yeah, since we can't hear him, I'll answer Ms. Zavala. There were two visits that were not the 4 full hours. One was leaving for a family emergency, and the other was, I believe, the birthday that was scheduled for him in San Antonio.
Okay. I think at this point, my concern is if we're working towards reunification and he's got 4 hours with his daughter and he's showing up hours late and leaving hours early, that is a big concern for me. I understand it's not real convenient, but those are basically my concerns at this point, is just making sure that visitation is a priority if we're looking at moving her to his home. And that's all that I have, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so Mr. Perez, I mean, we are here today on our final. Jerry, I'm getting some feedback. I'm gonna just mute you real quick. Well. Mom?
She's frozen, huh?
On my end, she is.
I don't know if it is. I tell you, I think it's more likely that. All right, y'all hear me okay now? Okay. All right, I don't know where you lost me, so I'm just gonna start over.
You were just about to mute Jerry.
Okay, and we're here today for our final. We're live streaming. We're on YouTube, and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tori Cook is my permanency specialist. We're present ready, Your Honor. And we would have an announcement once everybody gives their announcements.
Kenner Rojo for the mother, Alexandria Vasquez. We're both present and ready, Your Honor.
Jerry Morales for respondent father, Calvin Samsey is present. We are ready.
Stacy Zabala for the kids.
Chanel Garrett for Costa.
Okay. Mr. Trout, you want to start and make an announcement?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor. The parties mediated this case and came to an agreement. The mediated settlement agreement's been filed with the court into this case. It would give the mother, Alexandria Vasquez, sole managing conservatorship. Mr. Sams would have possessory conservatorship. And then the possession and access is laid out in that order. Mr. Sams have possession of the children from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on every Friday for a period of 6 weeks. Upon the completion of his BIP program and clean drug screens, possession of the children shall be 6 p.m. on the first, third, and fifth Friday of each month until 6 p.m. on the following Sunday. This should last for 120 days. The next step would be clean drug screen, then possession of the children shall be by a standard visitation set forth from the Texas Family Code. No more than 2 times per year, Ms. Vasquez, 48-hour notice, may request drug screens. In the event he tests positive for marijuana or any other illegal substance, then his possession and access to the children shall revert back to stage 1 of the step-up possession order. On the youngest children obtaining 3 years of age, Mr. Sams shall have the election set forth in the Family Code. As I stated earlier, drug screens with 48-hour notice. If he tests negative, the cost of the screens will be bared by Ms. Vasquez. If he's positive, then Mr. Sams will have to pay for those. Child support set forth at $650 a month beginning April 1st. Health insurance is currently being provided by Medicaid, which will be responsibility of Ms. Vasquez. The exchange of the children should take place at the Toot and Totem located downtown, which is where they're presently doing that. Party shall communicate through the app close application. Ms. Vasquez's address shall remain undisclosed, and the department should be dismissed out.
Mr. Trout, say the amount of the child support again.
$650 a month, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that already ongoing, or do we need to say a start date for that?
Start date was April 1st, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Naranjo, is that your agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your client's agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Morales, you and Mr. Sams?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Zabala?
Yes, Your Honor, it's my agreement, and I do believe it's in the best interest of the children.
All right, and Casa.
Yes, ma'am, I agree, and I believe it is in the best interest of the children also.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, then I will approve the agreement as announced and as more probably thoroughly set forth in the mediated settlement agreement, and adopt all those provisions into the final order. And I will dismiss the Department of Family and Protective Services from the case, all attorneys and CASA as well. And Ms. Vasquez and Mr. Sams, I wish you both the best of luck in the future. I appreciate everybody's work in this case, and I'm glad that this has had a positive outcome for everybody. So good luck to y'all in the future.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And everybody that is not still with me for the next case, you all are free to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Set for our final.
Thank you, Your
We're
Honor.
conducting this through Zoom. We're also live streaming on YouTube, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we have had a number of breakout rooms and a couple of bench conferences. We'll get into that here shortly, what we're going to do today. But let's go ahead and take announcements from everybody.
I think Daniel might be frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Mr. Shelton is obviously having problems. He's put in the chat. He can't get his camera or his microphone to come on. Mr. Shelton, we've seen your message, so let me just.
I thought y'all had frozen. Turns out it was me that dropped.
While you're doing all that, let me just do this. Mr. Trout's present for the Department of Family and Protective Services. Ms. Archer is present on behalf of the mother, Ashley Sangster, who is not present. Mr. Novak is present on behalf of the father, Cameron Shelton, and he is present, although he is not on camera and he can't unmute. But we know that he is present, and I'll make sure, Mr. Novak can certainly probably get him on the phone or talk to him, whatever we need to do. And Ms. Zavala is present on behalf of the child. Okay, so I know we're set for final day. Mom is not present. We've just been able to locate her. She's apparently in jail on some traffic tickets, but I want to hear a little more about that. So I'm going to just conduct a review hearing today, and we're going to reset the final for March 28th.
Judge, I'm sorry. Ms. Zavala just texted me. She got kicked out. She said she's restarting and trying to get it started back up.
I'm not saying anything she doesn't know right now.
Okay.
March 28th on a 9 o'clock docket. Now, so Mr. Shelton, since you can hear me, so the final will be reset for that day. And we're just going to have a review hearing just to sort of bring me up to speed and talk about a few issues. So don't be alarmed if you can't communicate with us. All right, we'll wait for Ms. Zavala to get logged back in. And we just lost him.
Judge, I've got Mr. Shelton on speaker. Cameron, say something.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. All right. Thanks, Cameron.
And Ms. Zavala, Mr. Novak's got Mr. Shelton on his cell phone on speaker. Okay, so I'd like to get an update from Ms. Brown.
Good morning, Your Honor. Since the court report was filed, Cameron did complete his OSAR. He was recommended for Padre classes. I spoke to Antonio Graves. He did receive the referral and will be setting those up for Mr. Shelton here shortly. Cameron did not go on drug screen last week, so we're asking that he be sent to drug screen today.
Ms. Brown, what did you find out as far as mom?
I talked to mom's mother. She said that she was arrested yesterday for some traffic tickets from last year, and she should be released today between 2 and 4.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as we know, it's just traffic tickets.
As far as I know, yes.
But she did not notify you about that until you all found out today?
That's correct.
Ms. Brown, on something like that, what is so grandmother has the children
Yes.
or has the child? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay. And what is y'all's standard policy on that? How do you proceed when parents are arrested, even if she's getting out today?
She's with a safe caregiver, so she'll remain in the home. We do
Okay.
expect Ashley to be released today. If she's not, then we'll restaff to see how we move forward.
Okay.
All right. When you do visit with her, if you would just stress to her that I'm very disappointed that she did not let St. Francis of the department know. And that she's also very lucky I didn't just move forward with this final hearing today.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Okay.
And Ms. Brown, real quick, do you have a new number for mom? Or mom has a new number?
Yes, and I can send that to Natalie.
Yeah, if you'd let her know, I don't think she knew she had a new one since the mediation.
Can you send that to me as well so that I can touch base with her and go visit for the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we lost Amy.
Of course we did.
I mean, it's obvious. It's a broad, it's a bandwidth issue. We lost. Yeah. All right. So Amy says she's having to restart. I just sent her a message and said I could record to the Zoom cloud the rest of this if she's having trouble getting back on. So I'm just waiting to hear from her real quick.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, she just said it's like her internet's completely gone. So I'm gonna just go ahead and record the rest of this to the Zoom cloud.
Yes, ma'am.
So we've shifted over. I'm now recording. So I'm not sure exactly where we fell apart, but I think Mr. Trout, you were maybe asking Ms. Brown a question or two.
Yes, ma'am. I think my last question was the procedure on what going forward, what we would do. I believe Ms. Brown stated that child is in a safe placement right now with grandmother. They would be staffing on how to move forward.
Okay. All right. Then Ms. Archer, anything to add today as far as a review hearing?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you know that?
Just 3 discrete items. Tiffany, it's good to see you. With the drug test today, how quick does the paperwork get to Care Express?
The paperwork's already there. It's been there since last week.
Cameron, I need you there by 4 o'clock today. Thank you for that, Tiffany. And I just want to confirm, do you know for a fact that the child is with the grandmother?
Yes, I spoke to the grandmother and the child was with her when we talked.
Excellent. The last item I have, you and I talked yesterday, correct?
Yes.
About a proposed step-up plan for Cameron, correct?
Yes.
And you indicated to me yesterday that you were in favor of that plan, correct?
I stated it's reasonable to me, but we would prefer that parties work it out.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. That's all I have, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Ball?
Your Honor, the child was doing well. Last that we checked in a few weeks ago, I will make a trip out there to visit before our next hearing, and hopefully the parties can reach an agreement.
Okay. All right, then. Today I'm going to obviously we vacated the final setting and reset to March 28th of 2024 at 9 o'clock. I am going to order Mr. Shelton to drug screen today as requested before 4 o'clock. I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue placement with the mother and actually grandmother right now. And I'll see everybody back March 28th. If by some chance you all get an agreement, an agreed order is always welcome. In lieu of the hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, I appreciate y'all. Thank you for everybody's patience this morning. I know we've had a lot of problems, but I think we all know why. So, anyway, hopefully that will get better on a daily basis. So, that's all we had this morning. So everybody have a good rest of your week and weekend.
You as well, Judge. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks.